So let me tell you about Sarah's wake-up call. She was the VP of Customer Success at a mid-sized SaaS company, software as a service. She was managing a team of about 20 account managers. Now, Sarah was sharp. She was driven, had consistently hit her customer retention numbers for 3 straight years. I mean, she prided herself on being approachable, collaborative. But during her 360 review, something unexpected showed up in the feedback. Multiple team members, using very, very similar language, said she had a habit of asking for input and then steamrolling right over it with her own ideas. Now, Sarah's first reaction was defense mode, right? That's not fair. I always ask what people think. I value their input. So she spent the weekend stewing about it, convinced that her team just didn't understand the pressure she was under to make quick decisions. But then Monday morning arrived with a crisis that really exposed the truth. Their biggest client asked for an emergency meeting. They were unhappy with the account management, and they were considering switching providers. Now, Sarah immediately called her team together to strategize, but instead of her usual approach, she decided to actually listen. She asked her senior account manager, Tom, what he really thought was going wrong. Now, Tom hesitated, but then he said, Sarah, I've been trying to tell you for months that this client feels rushed through our check-ins. They want more consultation, less reporting. But every time I bring it up, you redirect the conversation to our standard process. And Sarah felt the familiar defensive urge rising up, but she forced herself to stay quiet and said, what else? Well, another team member chimed in and said, they've been wanting quarterly business reviews, but when I suggested it 3 weeks ago, you said we didn't have the bandwidth. And now they're talking about leaving. Well, that's when it started to hit her. The 360 feedback wasn't wrong. She'd been asking for input, but she'd been filtering it through her own preconceptions and dismissing anything that didn't align with her existing plans. Now, they did end up saving that client relationship, but only because Sarah finally started implementing the ideas her team had been trying to share with her for months. Now, that experience taught her something crucial. Feedback isn't about her ego. It's about getting better results. In fact, Proverbs 15:31 says, whoever heeds life-giving correction will be at home among the wise. And notice it says life-giving correction. Now, not all criticism falls into this category. Some feedback is harsh, unfair, or comes from people with their own agenda. But when correction is rooted in truth and delivered by people who want to see you succeed, it has the power to transform your leadership. I think the key word here is heeds. It's not enough just to hear it. You have to actually act on it. Now, Sarah learned that wise leaders don't just tolerate correction, but they do create environments where people feel safe to give it. And then they do something with what they hear. So what do you do with Sarah's story and this proverb? Well, I'd say 1, check your posture first. When feedback comes, do you defend first or do you listen first? Your initial reaction reveals whether you're more committed to being right or getting better. And I'd say 2, seek feedback before the crisis. Now, Sarah could have avoided almost losing a major client if she had proactively asked for honest input months earlier. So don't wait for problems to surface. Go looking for the truth. And 3, I say close the loop with action. Receiving feedback gracefully is only half the battle. People need to see that their input actually influences your decisions, or else they'll stop giving it. Now, if this challenged you or stepped on some toes, good. That's exactly the point. Growth happens in the uncomfortable space between who you are and who you could become. So share this with a leader who needs to hear that feedback isn't the enemy, ignoring it is. Remember, you're not leading wrong if you get corrected. You're leading wrong if you refuse to learn from it. I'll see you next time.